We're here in Leesburg, Florida, to have a conversation with Mr. L.C. Coney. Mr. Coney, why did you decide to become a band director?
I decided to become a band director based on my early experiences with music. I had an uncle, Pete Hooker, who started me on saxophone many years ago. I guess I was 8 or 9 years old. He was quite a young man at that particular time. He was a member of a group from Sanford called the Sanford Serenaders. And he worked until the Serenaders broke up. Then he moved over to Eustis and began working at the Eustis Lake Region News. He did that for 47 years. And then it was about time for him to come home. At that particular time, my father passed away, and my Uncle Pete, along with Minnie Hart, who was my grandmother, took me in the wings and reared me up.
So he started you on saxophone?
Started me on saxophone. And then under the band directors, George Hill, Robert Miller, Clister Major, I began to find myself. Clister Major is the one that influenced me a whole lot to stay on the saxophone, because I was considered one of the best in the area, not alone in the area, but in the state. I went to audition up at Florida A&M under Dr. Foster, and I was granted a full scholarship. I can thank many of the directors for allowing the country boy to do so. I graduated 4 years, and I received quite a few honors upon a graduation.
So you started teaching in 1958?
1958.
And where was that?
I started teaching music at Mills High School, Webster, Florida, which was a black school at the particular time. The school was from grade 1 through 12. I think when I filled my applications out to find out how many or what classification I was in, I think we had 85 students between 9, 10, 11, and 12th grade. I was fortunate enough to start kids off in the 4th grade. And through many hard working days and weekends, students began to play in band, the big band, in 6th grade. And so there were students that I had could play pretty good. And while I was over there, I really brought the school out. I did my internship under Mr. Wilson. We call him Chief now. And so in 1958, after graduation, I did my internship over at Jones High School. And while there, I think I carried the band to contest that first year. And I never will forget that we were playing a selection, and one of my trumpet players valve stuck, and he had bump, 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 and he would play the wrong note every time, and I could not get him to get it, and the audience started laughing. And I said, from that day to this one, you won't never laugh again, ever. So we worked and worked and worked and worked. And so about the third or fourth year, I became district chairman of the district, the Florida Bandmasters Association. Going into contest, we called it Band Festival at that particular time. After that third year, I didn't have to worry about playing the wrong notes. We had the directors out of this district at that particular time would call me and say, I don't want to go behind you. Please don't put me behind you. And it took me a while to figure out what. And we'd have a meeting, man, and say, hey, you better not put me behind you here. And so we did all right. We were classified as a Class C school, but I always played the double B required selections. And this is one reason why nobody wanted to follow me in C or double C or B. We had about 42 players. We would practice on Saturday afternoon. Sometime when they weren't doing anything, they'll call me and say, let's go out to school on Sunday afternoon. At that particular time, we did most of our work on Saturdays. Saturdays started Saturday mornings. And at that particular time, the county was having what they call Saturday schools for slow students. And I had most students to come out, that beginners and intermediate, high school. I had all in there together. So the beginners began to catch on quicker. The intermediate began to want to play like the high school. And so we had quite a few students. So the principal at a particular time was Marvin Jones, Manigault, C.J. Manigault. And after Manigault left, Marvin Jones came on. Manigault moved to and started being a principal at Apopka. They called it something, I can't think of the name right now, but anyway, it was the black school in Apopka. So we did pretty well. We did pretty well.
Were there any special challenges you encountered in your early years?
Yes. Being from a rural area, a wide range of students, all levels, we had problems with funding. And just from problems from funding, I decided to go over to the white school and introduce myself, and could see all of the good things that he had, all of the good instruments. And so I happened to ask him, I said, how did you get that? He said, so the county bought it. Huh? He said, yes, the county bought it. I said, by the way, how much money does the county give you? He said, $1,000. I said, what? I said, I don't get nothing. And he said, that's not right. His name was Lee Smell. He played third clarinet under John Philip Sousa. And upon his retirement, gave me the clarinet, which I still have today. Wow. It was overhauled in 1913, and I still got the sticker in the clarinet case, make it authentic. It's a metal clarinet, but it was a top of the line. Top of the line. And
So you went over to see him and found out he was getting more funding than you were getting. What did you do about that?
I went by the superintendent's office and asked to speak to the superintendent. And so I walked in and I said, Mr. Simmons, I know I have the best band in the county. But Mr. Simmons, why is it that I don't get any money? Mr. Smell gets $1,000 supplement. I said, well, why? And they said also he gets $750 to buy reeds and carry instruments to the repair shop. I have to try to fix mine myself. I said, that's not right, is it? He didn't say nothing. He said, I'll check on it. So I left. By the time I got back to Webster's school, he had called that particular time Marvin Jones and told him I was dipping in somebody's business. And so Mrs. Jones asked me, what did I ask him? I said, I asked him about the salary, the increment, and the supplement. Mr. Jones said, huh? What? I said, no, I don't get that. I said, this comes in this man's check every month. And why does he get it and I don't get it? I got the best band in the whole county. I said, when anybody comes from Tallahassee or anywhere around, who band do they call? Well, he said, yours. I said, well, why is that? Because I blow the rest of them off. I blow them away. Bushing wildwood. I didn't care anything about where you was from. We would outplay you. And so he said that he was going to check on it. So we got a little bit the next time, but a little bit is better than nothing. That was growth. Until a little later on, they moved me during I said I'm jumping ahead a little bit.
It's okay.
They moved me from Mills High after 10 years over there to South Sumter.
Mm-hmm. And how long were you at South Sumter then?
I was at South Sumter 28 years. I was at 28 years. And
what was so special about going to South Sumter?
Oh, Lord. It was rough. I went over at that particular time. It was at the moment right then of integration. And to go from a black school to a white school was quite an experience for myself, not knowing what the white students were going to say, not what the white teachers were going to say. So we went over that year, and the meantime they wanted to change the name of the mascot. The school was South Sumter. It was Bushnell Rebels. And they wanted to change the Rebel name, and they changed it to Raiders. And the mascot was at that particular time were Rebels, and they had this big rubber flag, and they wanted to play Dixie every game and every time they scored, and this, that, and the other. And so at this particular time, we had the movement to take Dixie out because it showed that, well, it didn't show good. I'm going to tell you the truth. And so I chose at that particular time to write, to play, Are You From Dixie? And I did that about 3 games. Then I got called down again. So if you play it again, somebody gonna get hurt. barbecue. I said, what y'all mean? I said, it's not Dixie. He said, yeah, but play it again. So I had to ease that out. It was rough. I remember I played that doggone thing for the last time in Zephyr Hill, and we got bombarded with rocks, bottles, broke windows out of the bus. We had to have the police to escort us out of town. And so I did not play anything else that had Dixie's name on it, period. I said, because I didn't want to get hurt, and I said, I don't want you to get hurt. And so your parents come up and they tell me, well, you just tell them if they want to get hurt, they can come play it.
So you changed the school mascot,
Yeah,
and the emblem,
yeah,
and the school fight song.
yeah. And it was thankful a little later on. Funny thing about that, the integration thing, when you had the blacks and the whites want to kill each other one day before lunch. All the kids, I think I had a choral class at that particular time, and they said, oh Lord, here they go. I walked the hook out, and they were going out to the football field. Blacks were on one side, whites were on the other. When they split off, the blacks went to the visitor side, and the whites went to the home side. And the little kid said, well, where we go? I said, stay here. I said, y'all better stay here. You won't go out there and get hurt, do you? I said, they finna fight. And so I walked out there, the principal, assistant principal, the deans, everybody standing around the corner. Dale Swain and myself were the only two that went out to that football field to try to quiet those kids down. We went out there, they would yell this on this side, that on this side, this on this side, that on this side. And we had one student there whose father was on the school board. His name was, the student was Glenn Wilson. And his father had a barbershop here in Leesburg, and he would he would broadcast all of the football games. And so I said, Coach, we had to be careful now, because Glenn Daddy heard us with that radio, and Coach said something. It wasn't so nice. He said he didn't care. He didn't care. All he wanted to do is get those kids and not let anybody hurt themselves. And quite a few of the black kids had taken over the jobs the white kids had on the football team. Mm-hmm. They were better athletes. And same thing happened in band. I got over there and all my kids could outplay those kids. All of them. But he hadn't been to a band festival at that particular time in many years, because this is like he told, he tried to play them basses at a contest and didn't have a bass. And he said they chewed him up on that. Now this is history, this is the truth. I asked him, I said, well, Mr. Smith, why would you play them basses and not have a bass? He said the kids like the music. I said, I said, you do everything the kids like? He says, at the particular time I did. He said, but I won't do it again. I said, I know I won't either.
Well, what happened out on the football field after you went out there? You got things calmed down? We
got them calmed down after the chat. They would holler at each other across the field. And I asked the black kid, I said, you got what you wanted? What are you angry about? They didn't want angry. You should be happy. And they chop. We had the Glenn Wilson, who was senior class president, and we had a young black girl named Sheila McCook. She was smart, good Lord. She was valedictorian that year. And we had them to come meet in the center of the field. And they talked, and she talked. And they shook hands. And just before lunch, Oakland did his hair, and Sheila did her hair, and they left. Everything was quiet for about a week or so. They went on the lunch. We had the same lunchroom. Blacks had to get in line and stand and eat lunch with like everybody else. And there were a couple of incidents, but small. But after that, everything kind of smoothed out.
Well, that's great. That's really great.
Okay. At a particular time, we had 2 buses for the band to travel. One white bus, one black bus. So then, when they got that settled, then I decided then we're gonna ride on one bus. Then it came out, then they wanted to bring the radios. They want to play country music, and they want to play rhythm and blues. And one would turn it up, the other one would turn it up a little louder. And so what I did, I said this: if you're gonna bring a radio, you're gonna have to have earplugs, or we're not gonna play radio at all. So that went over fine. I had some nice students, some understanding students. At South Central, I think for the time that I was there, every year I had at least 2 students to go to All-State. And I had other students too to go to All-State that I was teaching privately. Students from Tavares, students from Mount Dora, students from Umatilla,
You had some from Leesburg also.
I'm about to get. I had some 3 from Leesburg, 4. Even the band director there now, Gabriel. I started teaching Gabriel in 7th grade. I did him 7th through 12th. Gabriel Fielder. Before Gabe, it was Reggie Oliver, Leroy Oliver, Jack Hart, and several others. Gabe is band director now at Leesburg High School. Jack Hart is about to retire. He's band director down at East Ridge. We have some other ones down. Lorenzo Green, who was one of my first students to go on a scholarship at Mills High. He went to Florida A&M on a full scholarship for trombone. He worked in Sumter County for a couple of years, and then he went to the Virgin Islands. He stayed at the Virgin Islands till they cut back on the program. He came back and he got a job at the prison. He had a little jazz band that they would let him come out with the prisoners. Excuse me, and he would bring them all around Leesburg, Sumter County to play. And he got tired of that, and then he applied for a job at Mills High School, which was now the middle school. And he stayed there for a long time. He did a nice job with Lorenzo Green.
Oh, it's very nice when your students have success.
Oh,
Yeah.
good Lord.
Yes.
How
about some pivotal moments in your career? I know you were Teacher of the Year at one time.
All right. Teacher of the Year. Pivotal moments. South Sumter High School voted me in as Teacher of the Year for the high school. I went through all of the schools in Sumter County, left out of Sumter County, and went to the district. I won Teacher of the Year for the district. And I came on and to become a candidate for the state. Funny thing happened. We went to Tallahassee, and we were sitting in the oval room eating a steak dinner, and I was sitting by the wife of the governor, and she happened to ask me a question. What did I think about choir directors being band directors? Me with my big mouth said, it wouldn't work. She says, why? I said, there are too many instruments that choir directors don't know anything about. She said, well, that's why they're in school. I said, ma'am, you got a singing person and a playing person. The singing person don't know too much about the playing part. And I said, it don't work unless you can do both, and you have done both. But you find most college students or most students are one way. Mm-hmm. One way, and it doesn't work. And I say, for reading is concerned, you got to be able to read. She said, they can't read? Yeah. Can they read the notes for all those different instruments? You got to know fingering and slide positions, armature, which is very, very important. You don't have an armature, say you got to put it back and do that the same, do you? And she said, no, she laughed. And so we got along pretty good.
So you made it all the way to the state meeting about Teacher of the Year, and you came in second for the whole state.
Oh yes, I came in second for the whole state, and would have come in first. The governor slipped and said, you would have won, but we had a music person from down Fort Pierce won it last year. And I said, oh my God. I said, I wonder why they gonna take that out on poor me. Well, anyway, I was happy to get that, and I evidently made a mistake when they sent my plaque. They got Teacher of the Year on my plaque. And it had all the cabinet members' name on there, all of them right there.
There you go. So, hanging on your wall proudly.
It's on the wall.
How about some words of wisdom or advice that you'd like to pass on to future directors?
Number one, new directors, be your own boss. Be your own boss. Don't let your booster president, don't let your principal and your guidance counselor, don't let them do your program. You are the person that went to school and you studied music. Many of them don't know a flute from a saxophone. And I had people who were my supervisors at that particular time didn't know a flute from a piccolo. Be your own boss. Do your own thinking. Listen. Now, listen to them. Just like you said, it went in one ear, let it go out the other, and make your own decisions. You will find out in the long run, it's going to be better for you. If they complain about my son or my daughter used to do this, that, and the other, but you're at the high school now. You're at the high school, not the middle school, not the elementary school. So be your own boss. That's all I can say about that.
Okay, all right. Is there one thing about your personal character that you think has really helped you in your career?
Yes. Being honest. Being honest. Fairness to everyone, regardless of race, creed, or color. Work ethics. Be dependable and be on time. This is one reason why I said the students we had a long time ago, they had called Saturday school, and I had more students at my band programs. I didn't get paid for that on Saturday and sometimes Sunday afternoons. When the students called me and asked me, will I come? Well, I wasn't doing anything, why not go? And so you'd be surprised how the program began to blossom up. Sometimes my wife said, well, why don't you get your clothes and move down to the bedroom? But
What did you do in order to keep your edge all those years? You had a long, successful career.
Going around and being around good judges, good band directors, many of the good ones became my best friends. Not only going to their schools, but to their homes.
So that networking within FBA.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And what do you do now that you're retired to keep active in music?
Well, I'm constantly now in all of the band directors in the area, in their rooms, and teaching privately. I've got some very good students again. I don't know what it is, but all my kids usually go to the top of the class. I just don't know what somebody say because I'm stubborn and mean. I just tell them this, honey, you say your parents does not have the money. I say, if you are willing, I will come teach you. But you got to do like I ask. I said, other than that, I'll have to put you down. And I don't want to have to put you down because you won't practice. I said, my philosophy is this. With parents, I tell them, if I ever have to send your check back, don't even call me. I don't want to waste your time, you calling me and me telling you, you won't make your kid practice. Yeah. I say, if you got an English paper to turn in, you don't go tell the lady you didn't have time to do it. If you had a math something to do, you don't go tell the math teacher that you didn't have time to do it. So don't come telling me you didn't have time to practice. I said, when you get off of this, get onto this, then things are going to be fine with you.
Do you have one kind of short story that would sort of sum up your career or why you've stayed in band for so long? What made you happy in the life of a band director?
As I said once before, I started to go pro with a rock group.
And when was this? This was back in the 60s?
Early 70s.
Okay.
And being on the road, because I had been out there on the road with this group, and many days I'll tell you the truth, many days I would come home after a gig, and about 7 o'clock, I had to run in the shower, take my shower. You're gonna laugh about this. I put a pot of grits on and put an egg in the, bust my egg and put it in the grits, and they it all cook at the same time. At that particular time, I was not married, and so I was living down in Webster, and I tell you, it got kind of rough there at times, but I made it.
And you decided not to go pro because
I decided not to go pro, and because I had married and had married a nice lady.
Yes, you did.
And she was kind of particular. I never forget the time I was at South Sumter when Colonel McFarland out of Raines High School in Jacksonville called me. And at a particular time, we did not have telephones. I didn't have a telephone in my room until after a year or so down there. That he called, and the superintendent's wife was a secretary. And I had to answer the phone right there.
Up in the front office.
Front office. And he called and asked, could I, or did I want to come to Jacksonville? I said, yes. I said, well, what's going on? He said, I want you to come up here and take over the band. I said, oh. Take over the band? And she looked, Miss Simmons looked up. And so I tried to move around a little bit. Anyway, we talked. I said, my wife, she just got a master's degree in speech pathology, and that I didn't want to leave her in Leesburg and I go to Jacksonville. He said, well, I'll look and see if we have a space for it. I said, well, you call me back and let me know. And so the next day he called, he said, sorry, we don't have anything open. I said, well, I don't believe I'll be able to come there. He said, you're missing the treat. I said, well, I'm leaving the treat if I decide to come up there and be the band director. I say we've had my first band director, George Hill, left Eustis and went to Jacksonville at not Reboat, the other school there. Well, another school, and that's where he retired. He left Eustis, and he was the band director that back in the day that he had a band at Sanford, Eustis, and Leesburg were the only bands in the whole area for blacks. And after that, then Jones High got a group, and then after that, Apopka, and then after that, Eatonville, and then it started. It just spread around. But those were the days.
Well, I want to thank you for spending time and letting us know a bit of your history and giving us some very good advice.
Thank you, because you have been one of my idols too.
Well, I certainly have been a student of yours. That's for sure. You've taught me many good things. Thank you.
I also met Mr. Paul from Tallahassee, and he was saying, Elsie, I can hear many good things about you. He said, I was over in Mount Dora, everything. He said, what are you doing over here? I said, I've got a student that was doing real well.